to chapter 9, The Land of Dreams. The children had had enough adventures for some time. Their mother set them to work in the garden and they did their best to help her. Nobody suggested going to the enchanted wood at all. I hope old Moonface, Silky and Saucepan Man got back to the tree safely, said Joe one day. Moonface was wondering the same thing about the children. He and Silky talked about it. We haven't seen the children for ages, he said. Let's slip down the tree, Silky, and make sure they got back all right, shall we? After all, it would be dreadful if they hadn't got back and their mother was worrying about them. So, one afternoon, just after lunch, Silky and Moonface walked up to the door of the cottage. Beth opened it and shrieked with delight. Moonface! Oh, so glad you got back safely after all. Come in, come in. Silky dear. Saucepan, you'll have to take off a kettle or two if you'll want to get through the door. The children's parents were out for a while. The children and their friends sat and talked about their last adventure. What land is at the top of the tree now? Asked Rick curiously. Don't know, said Moonface. Like to come and see? Thanks, said Joe. We're not going there any more. Well, come back and have tea with us, said Moonface. Silky's got some pop cakes and I've made some Google buns. I don't often make them, and I tell you, they're a treat. Google buns, said Beth in astonishment. Whatever are they? You come and see, said Moonface, grinning. They're better than pot cakes, aren't they, Silky? Much, said Silky. Well, Frannie and I have finished our job, said Beth. What about you boys? We've got about half an hour more to do, said Joe. If everyone helps, it'll only take 10 minutes. We could leave a note for Mother and Father and would love to try a Google bun. Everyone went into the garden to dig up the carrots and put them into piles. It didn't take more than 10 minutes because they all worked so hard. They put away their tools, washed their hands, left a note for their parents, and then set off to the enchanted wood. The Saucepan Man sang one of his ridiculous songs on the way. 2 tails for a kitten, 2 clouds for the sea, 2 pigeons for Christmas, to make plum pie. Everyone laughed. Joe and Beth and Frannie had heard the old Saucepan's silly songs before, but Rick hadn't. Go on, Rick, that's the silliest song I've ever heard. The Saucepan Man clashed 2 kettles together as he sang, 2 roses for Beth and 2 scoldings for Joe, 2 ribbons for Frannie with ho diddly ho. It's an easy song to make up as you go along, said Beth, giggling. Every line but the last one has to begin with the word 2. Just think of any nonsense you like and the song simply makes itself. Singing silly songs, they all reached the Faraway Tree. Saucepan yelled up. Hey, what's his name? Let down the rope. There's a good fellow. It's too hot for us to walk up there today. The rope came down. They all went up one by one, pulled high by the strong arms of Mr. What's-his-name. Frannie was unlucky. She got splashed by Dame Washalot on the way up by her water. Next time I go up on the rope, I shall take an umbrella with me, she said angrily. Come on, said Moonface, come and eat a Google bum and see what you think of it. Soon they were all sitting on the broad branches outside Moonface's house, eating pop cakes and Google buns. The buns were very strange. They each had a very large raisin in the middle, and this was filled with sherbet. So when you got to the raisin and bit the raisin, the sherbet frothed out and filled your mouth with fine bubbles that tasted delicious. The children got a real surprise when they bit bit their raisins, and Moonface almost fell off his branch with laughing. "Come and see some new cushions I've got," he said to the children, when they had eaten so many cakes and buns that they couldn't manage any more. Joe, Beth and Frannie went into Moonface's funny round house. Moonface looked round for Rick, but he wasn't there. "Where's Rick?" he said. "He's gone up the ladder to peep and see what the land is at the top of the ladder," said Silky. "I told him not to go, but he's quite a naughty boy, I think." "Oh, no," said Joe, running out of the house. "Rick, come back, you silly." Everyone began to shout, "Rick! Rick!" But no one came down the ladder. The big white cloud swirled above silently, and nobody could imagine why Rick had not come back. "I'll go and see what he's doing," said Joe. And Moonface said he'd go, so he went up, and he didn't come back either. Then old Saucepan Man went up cautiously, step by step, and he disappeared through the hole, and he didn't come back. "Whatever has happened to them?" said Joe in despair. "Look here, girls, get a rope out of Moonface's house and tie yourselves and Silky to me. Then I'll go up the ladder, and if anyone tries to pull me into the land above, they won't be able to, because you three can pull me back, okay?" "Right," said Beth, and she knotted the rope round her waist and Frannie's, and then round Silky's too. Joe tied the other end to himself. Then up the ladder he went, and before the girls knew what had happened, Joe was lifted into the land above, and they were all dragged up too, their feet scrambling somehow on the ladder to get through the hole in the clouds. There they all stood in a field of red poppies, with a tall man nearby holding a sack over his shoulder. "Is that the lot?" he asked. "Good. Well, here's something that'll make you sleep." He put his hand in his sack and scattered a handful of the finest sand over the surprised group. In a moment they were rubbing their eyes and yawning. "This is the land of dreams," said Moonface sleepily. "And this is the Sandman. Goodness, how sleepy I am." "Don't go to sleep! Don't go to sleep!" cried Silky, taking Moonface's arm and shaking him. "If we do, we'll wake up and find that this land has moved away from the Faraway Tree. Come back down the hole, Moonface. Don't be silly." "I'm so sleepy," said Moonface, and he lay down among the red poppies. In no time he was snoring loudly, fast asleep. "Get him to the hole," cried Silky. But Joe and Rick and Saucepan Man were all yawning and rubbing their eyes too, sleepy to do with anything. Then Beth and Frannie slid down quietly into the poppies and fell asleep too, and at last only Silky was left. Not much of the sleepy sand had gone into her eyes, so she was wider awake than the rest of them. She stared at everyone in dismay. "Oh dear," she said, "I'll never get you down the hole by myself. I'll have to get help. I must go and fetch Mr. What's-her-name and the angry Pixie and Dame Wash-a-lot too." She ran off to the hole, slipped down the ladder through the cloud, and slid onto the broad branch below. "What's his name?" she called. "Dame Wash-a-lot, angry Pixie." After a minute or two, Joe woke. He rubbed his eyes and sat up. Not far off, he saw something that pleased him. It was an ice cream seller. The man was ringing his bell loudly. "Hey, Moonface, wake up!" cried Joe. "There's an ice cream man. Have you got any money?" Everyone woke up. Moonface felt in his bag and then stared in great surprise. It was full of marbles. Now, who put marbles in there, he wondered. The ice cream man drove up. "Marbles will do to pay for my ice cream," he said. So Moonface paid him 6 marbles. The man gave them each a bag and drove off, ringing his bell. Moonface opened his bag, expecting to find delicious ice cream in there, but inside there was a big whistle. It was really odd. Everyone else had a whistle too. How extraordinary, said Rick. This is the kind of thing that happens in dreams. Well, after all, this is the land of dreams. Said Beth, I wonder if these whistles blow. She blew hers. It was very loud indeed. The others blew theirs too, and at once 6 policemen appeared nearby, running for all their worth. They rushed up to the children. What's the matter? They cried. You are blowing police whistles. What has happened? Do you want help? No, said Rick with a giggle. Then you must come to the swimming pool, said the policeman, and to everyone's surprise they were all led away. Why the swimming pool? Said Frannie. Listen, policeman, we haven't got swimsuits. Oh, you naughty storyteller, said the policeman nearest to her. And to Beth's surprise, she found that she had on a blue and white swimsuit, and all the others had swimsuits on as well. They came to the swimming pool, but there was no water in it at all. Get in and swim, said the policeman. There's no water, said Rick. Don't be silly. And then, very suddenly, all the policemen began to cry, and in no time the swimming pool was filled with their tears. This sort of thing makes me feel funny, said Joe. I don't want to swim in tears. Quick, everyone, push the policeman into the pool. And in half a second, all the policemen were kicking feebly in the pool of tears. As the children watched, they changed into blue fishes and swam away, flicking their tails. I feel as if I'm in a dream, said Rick. So do I, said Joe, and I wish I could get out of it. Oh, look, there's a plane coming down. Perhaps we could get into it and fly away. The plane, which was small and green, landed nearby. There was nobody in it at all. The children ran up to it and got in, and Joe pushed down the handle marked up. Off we go, he said, and off they went. Well, isn't that a funny chapter? If you'd like to draw me your land of dreams, that would be fantastic. Give it a go and see how you get on.